All right. Hello, everyone. I think it's just going to be me today. So you're stuck with just Emily. Whoop. Let me fix this camera here. This thing likes to just collapse on me. So let's see. Why? Oh my gosh. Cool. We're just going to lean it. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to give everyone a second to hop on. I wonder if I can scoot. I don't like this little thing in front of me. All right. Well, anyway, for those who don't know me or have not seen me yapping away on here before, my name is Emily. I'm an employee here at the store. I'm sorry that we started a little bit late. I can definitely be somebody who gets a little distracted, and that is definitely what happened here. So I was dusting and therefore did not realize it was time for the live. So a couple minutes late. Sorry about that. Doing some spring cleaning, right, in honor of Beltane. So even though Beltane already passed, I know some of us are probably going to plan to celebrate this weekend as well, just because maybe we didn't have time over the weekend to really celebrate. So some of us might be kind of doing our celebrations this weekend. Also, some of you might not have had nice enough weather to be able to get outside. Hi, Crybaby. How are you? So this would be a good time with some nice weather to maybe get out this weekend. So Beltane, though, marks the middle ground between spring and summer. So even though it might not feel like it to everybody, especially if you're in Ohio like we are, spring has already sprung, right? We're in the midst of it. We're smack dab in the middle of it. And we're already halfway to summer, to Litha. So pretty insane energy going on right now to begin with. So not because of Beltane, but because of other things going on astrologically that are definitely kind of heightening all of this. And, you know, it's funny because Beltane normally is like a celebration, and it's really about getting into your senses. But it seems like this year, for a lot of people, it was kind of challenging. It involved maybe cutting off some people we didn't necessarily want to, or having to do things we didn't really want to do, right? It was kind of a tough weekend astrologically. But on Tuesday, we are going to have a super new moon in Taurus, which is an excellent time to kind of carry on that sensual celebration of Beltane and take it on into this weekend. So the Taurus is all about your senses and physicality. It's all about comfort and physical sensations. Hi, Karen. How are you? So the Taurus new moon kind of is a perfect follow-up for Beltane, and also, like I said, continuing that celebration on into the evening. I'm also, side note, sorry if these things are distracting for you guys. I've got my little glasses things on because I couldn't find my other ones, and these ones are really loose, and I keep sneezing them off my face. So therefore, I have these little chains here. Okay, but back to it. So for those who don't know, Beltane normally takes place, it's called May Day. It's the first day of May, or it's normally celebrated the day before, so that evening. But you're definitely welcome to celebrate that at any time, right? So just around that time period, just like for other like national holidays, right? You kind of, it's around that time is the holiday. So this is my personal grimoire. I have all of the drawings and stuff about the different sabbats. So I have one about Beltane. Beltane. So that's this one here with a little fire on it. And that's because Beltane is normally celebrated by having a big old bonfire. So that's one of the most common ways that it's celebrated is you have a big bonfire. And you're celebrating, you're dancing around the fire. And there is this underlying tone of like sensuality, sexuality, and passion. if you think about this time of the year, this is the time where many animals are reproducing, right? We call it kitten season. There's little bunny rabbits everywhere. There's little deer everywhere. So it's like that for people too. So this is just kind of saying really getting into your senses, really celebrating the relationships that you have that are beneficial to you. Hello, Hank. I see you. But my favorite thing to do around Beltane is to really go around and look at different signs for different signs of spring, because even though spring technically starts at the equinox, which is March 21st, all of you Ohioans know we don't normally start seeing actual signs of spring until around this time, maybe like a couple weeks ago, and then into this time. So me and my son had went on a walk in this little park that's by our house, so about a mile long, and we picked out all of the different signs of spring that we're starting to see. Hi, Chris, how are you? So we were walking by and we're kind of looking at all the different colors, and we saw those like pink purple flowers. We saw like wild geraniums, buttercups. There was a honeysuckle bush, and I got to show him why it's called honeysuckle and how to get the juice from that, Mr. Groundhog. Yeah, so it was like really cool to go out and experience all that with him. And then I also planted my garden. So I got some really cool herbs from, this is kind of a side note, but one of our artists here, Deborah, she makes like stippling, like dot art. Very, very talented, but she also is really into herbalism, and so am I. So we were talking about it, and she told me to look into Growers Exchange, and I guess they'll actually mail you these little, we don't have any affiliation with them at all. This is just me saying that I like them. But they mail you these little plants, and they're really, really reasonably priced. So me and Henry planted all of those. He found some Speedwell thyme in our yard, as well as, I'm going to say this wrong, Ahuga reptans, which is basically bugleweed or a carpenter's herb. But anyway, found all of these different herbs and really just like enjoyed springtime. So, but again, we can definitely move that celebrating on into this weekend. So, what I have written down here, and keep in mind, this is an old grimoire. Okay, this is probably from when I was about 20. I'm 28 now. So, but it's about passion, mischief, sensuality, sexuality, beauty, romance, fertility, vitality, and abundance. So what I think, hi, Mr. Master. What I think the most important thing to take away from this is just figuring out what really lights you up. What lights a fire for you? What makes you feel passionate? What inspires you? It's not just about creation and fertility as far as actual, like physically, right? Like reproducing, but also it's fertile ground to like plant some new seeds. This is the time, right? This is the time for you to take advantage of this energy, harness it, and use it to your advantage. I know, like, I've been wanting to make salves like forever. These herbal salves will probably be available in the store soon, but I kept like not finding the energy. I just didn't feel like doing it. I kept making excuses, and it was like around Beltane, I just got this burst of energy and made them. And I don't know if other people felt similarly. I have been very inspired creatively, but very, very tired physically. So I'm not sure if that's a universal thing here or not. You could check in and tell me how you're feeling. But like I said, there's a lot of themes about abundance and new things starting with Beltane. But in order for that to happen, in order for our garden to thrive, we have to weed it out, right? We have to take out some of the plants that are invasive, that aren't going to help it. We're going to make sure that there's no pests or bugs in there messing up what we're trying to grow. So, well, this is a time of creation. There is that loss that happens first, right? So that's something that, is universal, I think. But I really have felt like a new kind of like the leaf is turning, right? Mercury went direct. Pluto just went retrograde. So a lot of energy going on. Here are some activities that you can do during Beltane to celebrate. So like I mentioned before, there's bonfires. foraging, so going outside, seeing what herbs and plants and things that you could forage, especially if you want to use them in like your ritual work. Making herbal and floral teas, so a lot of focus on the herbal healing. Starting and transplanting seeds, which we talked about that, the fertility and fertilizing plants. Basking in the sun, so really enjoying the sunlight, soaking up that vitamin D that we haven't really gotten for quite some time here. See, going hiking, spending time in nature. This one was kind of cute. So wearing ribbons in your hair. So I'm sure you all have seen like the maypole thing. Okay, it's like a pole and there's all these ribbons coming from it and you kind of go around in a circle and you have to go over, under type of thing. And it's this whole celebration, right? That's actually a pagan origin from May Day. Beltane. So wearing ribbons in your hair would be kind of like a little nod to that maypole. The magic that you would want to be doing during this time is a lot of cleansing. So you've all heard about spring cleaning, grounding work. So spending time in nature, grounding, prosperity, so abundance, and then sex magic and love magic. So that one's pretty obvious because again, like this really is a huge focus on that. So the crystals that would be good for this are sunstone, rose quartz, carnelian, clear quartz, garnet, aventurine, malachite, amber, smoky quartz, pyrite, bloodstone, moss agate, tiger's eye, and citrine. So a lot of those fiery or more like earthy tones, but like fiery yellows, reds, oranges, like those kinds of colors. Because again, it goes with that theme. So those are the crystals that you would use. Flowers are roses, dandelions, wildflowers, violets, rosemary, mint, thyme, mugwort, ginger, cinnamon, chamomile, lavender, basil, and marigold. So my reasoning for that is probably because those are the first flowers that come. So rather than going and buying some, you can always just pick some flowers that are by you. I've got wild violets all in my yard, speedball thyme, all of that. So lots of pink, greens, browns, white, gold, red, and light blue. So summer colors for sure are what you're going to want to decorate your altar with. And then as far as foods, it's going to be bread, a lot of plant-based stuff, dairy, red wines. I could always go for some red wine. It doesn't have to be Beltane, right? Always go for some wine. Honey, berries, and nuts. So those kinds of foods are sort of what you would be consuming and stuff, maybe having a little picnic or something like that. So we kind of did all of those things at my household. I know I've been looking for the birds a lot, so trying to see hummingbirds and seeing if the orioles are going to come and all of that. So yeah, it really is just that time of celebrating. It's a time of creation and let's see, it says so like I said before, marks the transition point from spring to summer. So love and commitment are big themes right now. So Karen said, yes, lots of birds. My favorite thing too is to just sit quietly and like see if I can guess which birds are calling and what's around. My personal kind of symbolic bird is a woodpecker. Those are my favorite because they're all about digging deep. It makes me feel like very connected to my ancestors because it's about going back, digging deeper about my roots. And I've seen some woodpeckers. You always hear them first, right? And then you see them. So that's been really cool. Lots of cardinals near my house. But yeah, just seeing like the earth come back to life in a way, right? It seems like all of a sudden there are just leaves all over the trees and it's like you blink and it's springtime. So letting yourself get excited about that. We have been blessed with the last week with some beautiful weather here. So I'm sure a lot of us spent some time outside. Like I said, if you've got some seedlings already started, transplanting them and actually starting your garden now would be a great idea. But I do want to hear too, like what you guys did or what you plan on doing if you haven't gotten to celebrate yet. Because there's only so much I can go over, but I will say focusing on your relationships that really fill you up and fire, as much as it's that celebration and it brings us all together, it can be very cleansing too. So maybe writing down what you're not bringing with you into these next stages and burning it would not be such a poor idea. But yeah, it's just a really passionate time. It's a time of excitement, right? We've all been holed up in our houses. Hey, I'm just listening to open my mind up to learning. Okay, wonderful. Well, we're talking about Beltane right now. So that is the Sabbat, the pagan Sabbat that takes place April 30th or May 1st, right? So that evening. But yeah, I was saying normally a bunch of bonfires, lots of celebrations with passion, romance, sexuality. I also want to say too that you don't need to have a partner in order to celebrate that romance aspect of stuff, okay? You can kind of just practice self-love in that moment. You can, so, okay, let's see. Townies and birds on the roof feel like ancestors. Yes, seriously, right? They feel like ancestors for you. Mm-hmm. All right, so Chris says that she's getting the garden ready. Yes, and it felt so cool to like, because I waited, for the pollinators and all of that. I waited to clean my yard up for quite some time. Even though we mow, we leave like a patch for bees and hummingbirds and dragonflies and all of that. So, but yeah, planting an herb garden, that is a really great way to celebrate Beltane. Like I said, I just ordered some plants from Growers Exchange, but I'm sure you can get them other places, of course. But these are like weird ones, right? So I'm trying to think of what all. It was St. John's Wort. I ordered echinacea, ashwagandha, skullcap. I'm missing one. Echinacea, ashwagandha, skullcap. Oh, I think the tablet's about to fall. Oh. Skullcap. What else? I'm missing one. It will come to me. Oh, St. John's Wort. Or did I say that already? It doesn't really matter. Either way, got a ton of herbs. It was super cool. Planted them all. Planned on making a lot of tinctures and salves and stuff like that with them. So that's super exciting. But yeah, what else did you guys do? Did anybody have a big bonfire? I know my coworker, Miss Eileen, said that she had a big old bonfire. I'm surprised that we didn't, because Henry is probably mad about that. Karen, you said going to plan your garden, getting excited. Yeah, check out that Growers Exchange website I was just talking about. So Deborah is the one who actually told me that. I don't want to say her last name just because I don't want to blast it all over the internet, right? But the Growers Exchange is a really great website for that. It's super, super affordable. I don't know that they're still, sorry, I'm just pulling this forward a little bit, still running a sale or not, but they were for a while. And they ship it right to you. So it's super, super cool. Yeah, and I was excited too because my basil started coming back, my parsley came back, and then my sage. So it's kind of funny when you start having like perennial plants, how you become so attached to them. So sorry, I just like all of a sudden decided it's gonna be too heavy for this. Let me see if I can find some. Wait. Okay, guys, not the best angle, but it's gonna have to stay like this so that it doesn't keep falling. So, but anyway, when you have perennial plants, it's so cool to like start seeing them come back because you're like, oh my gosh, it's like greeting an old friend, right? Like I have some lilies in my front flower bed. Which, side note, okay, because Brandon, it's like his mission. Hi, Rosie, how are you? It is like my partner's mission to destroy my lilies. He doesn't know he's doing it, okay, but he's just clumsy and big and he breaks everything. So for some reason, I planted the lily right where we cut through to get to my front door. And I swear every single year, he either kicks the head off of it, he hits it with the weed whacker, he steps on it, something falls off the porch and falls and crushes this lily. It's like just not meant to survive. But every year it comes back no matter how much we abuse it. So I guess we all could stand to be a little bit more like that lily and just have a little bit of resilience, right? So what are you guys planting, Karen and Chris, and anybody else who may be planting a garden? I'd love to hear what you're planting, and if it's more vegetables, fruits, herbs, or what you plan on doing with that. So um, for those of you who don't want to plant, we have a ton of herbs available here. We also have these little like packets that are kind of like garden in a bag type of thing. They've got seeds and dirt and all that already. I'm trying to think about the 5th plant that I ordered. This is really going to bother me. Skullcap, St. John's Wort, Echinacea, ashwagandha. This is going to drive me crazy. Marigolds, your grandma's fave, and a vegetable garden. That's lovely. I've always loved marigolds for that reason, right? I'm assuming grandma's probably passed. I'm not sure. But marigolds are actually, like, I read this book. I cannot think of what it's called now, which is going to drive me crazy. But basically the book talked about how marigolds used to be told that their scent, they're like so fragrant and so beautiful looking, like so bright, that they lead the dead back home. So people would put marigolds out or plant them so that people in spirit can find their way back to them. I thought that was like beautiful. And whether you intentionally are doing that or not, Karen, I think that grandma really appreciates that. So, but yeah, and they're also great for like psychic powers. And so you use those in your workings as well, any spell work you might do. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. Like you plant protective herbs all around your home. It's not such a bad idea. All right, let's see what Chris is planting. Tomatoes, cucumbers, beans, basil, lavender, cantaloupe, more veggies, and a few more herbs. Ooh, I'm coming over. We're having a picnic. No, just kidding, but that sounds amazing. Karen, you said you didn't know that about the marigolds. Yeah, I wish I could think of the book. I mean, it was actually kind of a horror novel. I'm not going to lie to you. But the part about the marigolds and the ancestors and stuff was really sweet. But everything else was kind of spooky. So I don't know that I would suggest it to you or not. But yeah, that's what it was for. So that's really cute. How sweet. Karen, I don't know. Me and you vibe, I feel like. Even though it's just on the lives that we chat. We totally relate to one another in some way, right? All right. So the other thing too, like think about not wearing gloves while you're gardening. I know if you're like me and you maybe have some sensory issues, that feeling of the dirt under your nails might not be your favorite. But I've learned to kind of appreciate it. For again, that grounding sense, like my garden is my area. So, oh, thank you. Yeah, but next week, okay, so like I said, I started making some salves for the store. They should be ready with like the labels and everything by the time I do the live next week, but I'm planning on talking about herbalism. So I know I talked about that a little bit, but there's so much that I could talk about that I'm just going to do another live about that. Recommend a couple other books that we have, and then show some of the stuff that I've made and how I made it, right? So the salves that I will have will be a stress relief or like sleep aid salve. That one is lavender and cedarwood scented, and it's infused with chamomile, rose, and lemon balm. Then I made a working hands salve, so hard working hand salve. That is infused with comfrey and Oregon grape leaf root. That one smells like jasmine and sandalwood. That's probably my favorite smell. And then there's a third unscented one made with yarrow. That salve is specifically like a healing salve. For legality reasons, I'm not going to tell you where to put it on. Look up what yarrow is for and use it for that, right? But I didn't put any essential oils in that one to keep maintain the integrity of it, make sure wasn't going to irritate anybody. But all three of those are available. They all have little crystals on them. They're really cute. But I'm going to kind of talk about that next week, would be the herbalism. So I figure a lot of us have herb gardens and stuff going already, so we might as well. All right. Does anybody else have any questions about maybe how to celebrate Beltane? Anything like that? Or if you just want to share, I'm all ears. Sorry you just get me today and not me and Sierra. I know she normally helps me navigate the lives a little bit, but all right. Well, if there are no more questions, I'm going to pop off. I know I didn't really show a lot of products or anything today. It was just kind of chatting up a storm, but thanks for listening. And I will talk to you next week. Like I said, next week I will be touching on herbalism. So that kind of thing. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. It's always like intimidating talking to an empty room. So I very much appreciate you who pop in and help make conversation and all of that. Yes, of course. Bye. Thank you so much. And blessed Beltane, everyone.